Hello, and welcome to Tales from the Twists, a podcast where we talk about an 80s, 90s television show from Australia called Round the Twist. I'm today joined by my co-host, Anthony Bull.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm very well, how are you?
I'm good.
Today, we're here to talk about the finale of the first season of Round the Twist, which is called Lighthouse Blues.
Lighthouse Blues, is it?
Blues indeed.
Blues as in, like, the saxophone, I guess, and as well the sadness.
Blues as in the type of music.
Yeah, both.
Yes.
So, blues, you know, like, as in, oh, it's sad.
Yes.
Yeah, I see, it's clever, I guess.
Yes.
You know what's interesting about this episode?
What?
No real title card?
Well, there was a title card.
Not really. Like, usually the title card
short.
is... Yeah, but the title card's usually really separate, like, usually, yeah, it's usually separate from the scene. This one was the title card, and then the camera panned straight into the opening shot.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was continuous. So for me, that felt like, oh, damn, we got a lot of stuff to do in this episode, so don't worry about this title card stuff, just pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which actually made it better, I think.
Wasn't it last week that they had the thing where it was just Nell, like, pulling down the flyers?
Yeah, but that was like, again, that still didn't transition into the show.
Yeah.
Like, it was separate entirely.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a different one. I've never seen it before on any of the episodes.
Okay.
Yeah?
Well, were you excited to be watching the finale?
Of course.
Season 1?
Of course. How could I not be? How could I not? We finally get to know all about the coma.
Yeah.
You know? I was just like, oh, what? When, like, later on in the episode, I was like, oh my goodness, what? And then my mind was blown at the end, you know, where it was one of those clickbait links, except when I clicked it, my mind was really blown. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I felt...
Yeah, click here to have your mind blown. Except it actually is. This is a fairly iconic episode.
Yes.
And maybe not as iconic as the one where Bronson's penis spins around and he can fly.
Yeah, that's...
Or the one where Bronson pees over the thing, or the one where Pete gets pregnant.
Yep, or the one where Pete's underpants make him do things.
Yes, the Wonderpants episode.
Yep.
It's more of a kind of, I don't know, it's never one you think of when you think of Round the Twist, but it's very, very round the twist, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of things that happen in it is like, yeah, this is very round the twist. What's happening right now?
Yeah, it was also very 80s, actually.
Yeah,
in American 80s. Well, like...
The singing?
Not just the singing, but like, all the community comes together to try to save the rec center.
Ah, yeah.
That's like the plot of every single,
Sitcom?
every single, like, 80s teen movie. It's like, you know, oh, my douchebag, that guy's douchebag rich father wants to close down this,
yeah, we've got to band together.
Something. We've got to band together and stop him. And the only way to beat him is in a race.
Or we've got to raise enough money, $5,000, exactly by this
How are we
going
to do that? I don't know. And then they do.
There's
somehow.
a competition. A singing competition.
Yeah, singing competition. Or, you become a gigolo or something.
And enough about American 80s sitcoms, we're talking about Round the Twist. So, as we discussed, the teaser this week was just a shot of the lighthouse.
It could have been...
And it had Lighthouse Blues over the top.
It could have been, like, best describe it was like an easy listening cover. Like, if you ever seen it, one of those easy listening... But except it was like, if you saw one that's at the beach with a lighthouse, pretty much that.
Yep.
Yep. There's no other way to describe it.
It's just an album cover.
It's an album cover, yeah, for an easy listening band.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to describe it. So we start off the actual episode, and we've got the Twist kids, and they're on the stairs of the lighthouse, Pete, Bronson, and Linda, and they're looking down at their dad, Tony, and he's got his love interest over, whose name is Faye, and they're sitting on the couch, and Tony is talking to her. They've been drinking some champagne, and he says, I'm a man, you're a woman, I like the lighthouse, you like the lighthouse. We've both been through a lot together, and Faye kind of by this point has worked out what's happening and is trying to
let's not forget what
and
to Mr. Twist what the lighthouse is.
To Mr. Twist, what is the lighthouse?
Oh, it's his penis, isn't it? We've discussed
Yes.
that was the first episode. You know, it's a callback to the first episode. You like the lighthouse, I like the lighthouse. Well, of course you do, Mr. Twist. So, you know, we're not just, you know, we like each other in both the romantic sense, we're sexually compatible as well.
Okay.
That's what I've read into that.
As you should.
As you should, from a kids' TV show.
Yeah. Well, as we've discovered, it's not entirely a children's TV show.
It's a bit weird.
Faye kind of knows what's happening and tries to prod him along, and he asks her if she'd like some more champagne.
Yeah.
What was he suggesting by this?
Well, I don't know. He was trying to get her to more liquored up so she'd say yes, which is a bit messed up when you think about it. But he was also just like, he was looking for an out, and the fact that he had a champagne in his pocket, in his hand, it's like, oh, cool, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. And if he got a little drunk, it would probably be easier for him to say it as well. But
yeah, that's true.
The thing is, he wants to spoiler alert,
Yeah.
he wants to propose to
Well, I think
Faye on the couch.
Yeah, that was fairly obvious.
Because he goes, "Will you, Matt?" at one point, and then he gets interrupted.
Well, yeah, before we get to that, the Gribbles show up outside, and they're playing what we think was the 1812 overture.
Yeah, the 1812 overture. The William Tell overture?
Yeah, I don't know, whatever it was. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I think it's the 1812 overture.
And, hang on
Tell
a
us if
second.
we're wrong.
The Admiral is eating the cord of my laptop.
Yeah, he likes to do
Move
that.
on.
My cat
Move
likes
on.
to eat cords.
Move on, Admiral. Come on.
Yeah, he'll eat anything. He'll chew on.
On your bike.
He'll chew. Let me get him.
I'll get him. You talk.
Alright, so my cat basically likes to eat any wiring, and he likes to eat paper. He loves paper. I don't get it, but whatever. You know, one day he'll get electrocuted and it'll be his fault. But hey, you know.
The Admiral has been removed from the deck. What were we talking about? The 1812
That's mutiny,
overture?
isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're mutineers.
I guess
This
so.
podcast is basically
A mutiny?
mutiny incarnate.
Yeah.
So, the
We're talking-
kids,
Yep.
the Gribble kids show up on bikes as well, and they're kind of like riding around in circles, and Nell's watching on. She's like eating an orange.
Was this like
It was very...
a homage? I say homage because I know that they didn't use Flight of the Valkyries, but a homage to
Apocalypse Now.
yeah.
I-
come in with their
Yeah.
because it's like there was sort of like a battle sort of coming in. In fact, maybe that's been used in other places, tons of other places before, but like maybe
Yeah,
they wanted something that wasn't just Flight of the Valkyries.
Apocalypse Now is the iconic one.
Yeah, that's the one you think of when you think classical music and war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine so. It was kind of setting up like, this is a bad guy, the guy that Mr. Gribble
Yeah.
has with him. And this guy's name is Mr. Henderson,
Yeah.
and he is a badass mother effer.
Yeah, he's like that, the main bad guy in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's what I really saw in him.
Yeah.
Except without the weird German and weird creepy accent. Like, he doesn't come off like a kiddie fiddler, like the guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has like the big, like, wide brimmed,
Yeah.
I think that's the
He's got like a
fedora, right?
duster
The actual
or something.
fedora. Yeah, he's got a duster. He's wearing like sunglasses.
Were you expecting him to go, "Milady"?
No,
Okay.
because that would require a trilby.
Oh, yes, true.
Ah.
The difference.
But yes, I got vibes of, you know, the prolific movie from a few years ago, The Box.
Oh, yeah. Oh man, now that you say that, without a doubt, he is totally the guy who gives the people the box in the box.
Yes. So if you're not familiar with The Box, which I don't
The
blame you
world's
if you're
worst
not,
movie.
It is not the world's worst
Okay, no,
movie.
Southland Tales is probably one of the world's worst movies.
But it's by the same director. So Richard Kelly, who directed Donnie Darko,
Which I like.
directed his follow-up to Donnie Darko is Southland Tales, which is a
Fucking
crazy
just retarded.
couple of hours of...
I don't even get it. I can't even sit
Craziness.
through it. Like, it's like 2.5 hours, and I don't even know it makes any sense. They write the
It
ending.
kind of makes sense.
Spoiler alert: the ending is a clone or something like this. That's Jesus,
Yes.
modern Jesus.
Yes.
Holds onto each other and rides a giant ice
cream
cream truck into the sky with some guy firing a rocket into a blimp.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not making that up. That's how it
So
ends.
that's Southland Tales. That obviously didn't do very well. And then it was...
There's so many actors in it too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They thought it was going to be like the next greatest big thing.
Yeah.
The Rock was in it.
Yeah.
And he has this terrible, like, he does this tick thing with his face.
He's super nervous, and it's
Yeah.
really weird. He's like, he
he's
puts his
hamming
hands
it up.
together like, oh no, I'm so nervous.
He's just hamming it up like crazy. And then,
The themes in it were cool.
I guess,
Like, but it was story
and
and
then
all that
Richard
stuff.
Kelly
Shit.
followed up his enormous failure of Southland Tales with the film, what was the film called? The Box. Yes,
The Box.
we were just talking about The Box. Yes, he follows it up with The Box, which I'm told he sold everything he owned and
Yeah.
refinanced his house and stuff to be able to make The Box. And it's this giant, I don't have even the word to
He
describe it.
turned a short story
Yes.
into a...
It was basically a Twilight
movie.
Zone episode.
It works well as a Twilight Zone episode. That's perfect because...
So the initial concept is a family or a guy and a wife, right? Are
Yeah.
given a box, and if they press the button inside the box, then they can get a certain amount of money, right?
I think it's like $1 million
Someone will die.
in the world. Someone
Yes, someone
and
will die.
specifically it was someone you don't know will die.
Yeah.
So it was like, and worst part is like about the box. Okay, it
Yeah.
wasn't that someone you know will die or you
Yes.
don't know will die. It was that the box did not show that yes, this actually indeed occurs. You did not show, like, hey, here's an example of someone who did push the box and they did die. And here's another example. So yes, pressing this button will kill someone.
Yeah.
Because the guy in the film, the male actor looks over the whole box and is like, this box is not connected to anything. There's no electricity. How does it even work? That's a lot of crap.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the story, they press the button, they decide to do it, because whatever, they want the money. Then the guy comes and picks up the box, and he says to them, good, now I'm going to take it to somebody, I'm going to take it away, and he's like, where are you going to take it to? Someone you don't know.
Yeah.
Implying the next person will kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that movie was crap, because it then just, aliens or something.
The problem with that movie, right?
Yeah.
Is that it goes from that, what we just talked about is like the first 20 minutes, kind of, like the first
30,
act.
Yeah.
The first act of the film, for those familiar with that type of language. And then it goes into, I don't even know how to describe it, but basically, the guy who gives them the box is like a lord of lightning. There's like water that falls from other dimensions. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens.
There's like aliens in it.
I don't know if they were aliens though. They were like lightning creatures from another dimension.
And those who didn't press the box were invited to come with the aliens.
Yes.
To save away from this evil planet.
Yes.
And the stupidest, and the dumb thing was they just tried this. It didn't make any sense. Like, it was just so convoluted. Even though it had really great themes and, like, philosophical questions, like, you press the button and then later on in the movie, you see the main character, he shoots his wife, basically. Because he's given the ultimatum. Yeah, well, you don't really care. Trust me. He has a choice of either shooting his wife.
Yeah.
Okay. Or his son being blind, deaf, and dumb, being mute forever. Never being able to sense his family again. Well, as a father, he chooses to shoot his wife. But the thing is, at the same time, another couple is deciding to press the button. So that's a great philosophical question. Did he actually make the choice, or was the choice made from, like, predestined by someone else?
But, not to hype up a terrible movie too much.
Exactly. All that nice stuff has a whole lot of shit to fill it out. Okay?
The reason that we brought it up was that the guy that brings the box to them is kind of missing half of his face. It's kind of like all scarred. But he looks very much like Mr. Henderson. He
does look a lot like Mr. Henderson. I'll agree with that.
And that was the point of that 10-minute tangent.
And that's before, actually, and this was made before the box.
A long time before.
So where did that generic
stock...
where did that generic stock character come from?
I think it was just like an evil villainy guy, and they gave him some sunglasses and stuff.
I like the sunglasses.
He's really cool. I think there was a very missed opportunity to not have him be some kind of reoccurring villain. Because he had some screen charisma.
He could have been like a reoccurring villain in season 2. You know?
It would have been nice to just have him show up in episodes and just, like, not say anything and just be, like, in them. And then, like, when you finally get to the end, it's like, it's this guy.
Because, like, he'd be like, who's this guy? Like, maybe it's Mr. Gribble. You meet him earlier on. He's in Mr. Gribble's office shaking his hand. Or even just, your 12 o'clock's here and the twist leap and, some cool backstory. Maybe he goes and visits the lighthouse once with the Saudis a couple of times. And it's ominous. Like, who is this guy?
If he came back and if he was, like, supernatural or something, that would be amazing.
Or the devil, I guess.
Yes. Well, that links in with one of our theories that this is taking place in purgatory.
Yeah.
He could well be.
It could actually well be.
Let's get through a bit and maybe we'll come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Nell is watching all of this madness unfold as Mr. Henderson arrives. We go back inside the lighthouse and Tony is not good at proposing. And he says, Faye, and she says yes. And he goes, will you? Then Gribble knocks and enters.
Yeah.
Just forcibly enters his house.
He goes, will you, and then he forcibly enters their house.
Yes. And he brings in Mr. Henderson because they have found a loophole in the contract that Tony has and they've acquired a compulsory acquisition form to take back the lighthouse because they're developing all of the shipwreck coast.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the thing,
to turn it into a theme park.
Now, did you think about Know-All
No.
You didn't think about Know-All in the episode?
What part of Know-All?
Where he goes, mate, we have a, something requisition order, from the council. It's something, we're gonna have to fight it. It's gonna be thrown out in court.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Twist is like, I know.
Yeah.
Like, is this the requisition order as well? I know that was the first one that he sent, but could this as well be in that requisition order?
Maybe. I think it was just lazy writing being another compulsory acquisition form.
I guess so, because at the end of the episode, the requisition order it's I don't know. It's confusing. Because Mr. Gribble tears up the requisition order, but that doesn't mean that Mr. Henderson would have teared it up. So chances are Mr. Henderson would still fight this in court, which would then get obviously thrown out.
Yes.
In season 5, which never occurred. Remember, because the twist is a time travel.
So the music starts playing, and we get a reaction from Nell for the first time. The creepy ghost music starts playing.
When that happened, man, when that happened,
yes,
I was just like,
you were over the moon.
What is this? Hello. Confirmation of theories. Hello. My paranoia and conspiracy theoristness is paying off. I was very excited. I can tell you that much.
Bronson tries to explain to the rude visitors that the ghosts are real, they do play music, and they have taken his muesli bar.
Yeah, well,
one of the great unsolved crimes of the 20th century. Bronson's lost the muesli bar.
It's like, oh, they're real, and they play music. And they stole my food. Oh, man.
I would be very upset had they stolen my muesli bar too, to be fair.
Yeah, but it was like, did they really steal their muesli bar?
Well, what I think happened is he just ate it and forgot.
Or he ate it and was like, oh, they stole my muesli bar. Oh, well, I didn't finish it, therefore I need another one. Like, you need an excuse to eat, Bronson. Like, no, you have some serious issues.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Like,
he does
Tony's too out of it. He's too interested.
He does have food issues. Young Bronson.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Gribble follows Bronson. Bronson's determined to see the ghosts, and he runs upstairs, and Mrs. Gribble follows him up. Yeah. Matron, we believe her first name is. And Bronson opens the door, and the music stops, and there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then they're looking up the stairs for some reason, and a little girl appears. For the first time, we see a little girl ghost, and she's standing on the stairs. Mrs. Gribble freaks out, then runs down the stairs, and Bronson begins to talk to her.
Yeah.
Apparently she knows Bronson, and she's been watching him for some time. More stalker behaviour.
More weird. Yeah, that does make it weird.
The weirdest thing about this, right?
Yeah.
She is like, she's like over 100 years old, I think. No, she can't be because Nell's still alive. Yeah. She's probably about 50.
You know what's weird too is
that... And she's like talking to a little boy about how she's been watching him.
What's weird is that the little girl's dead.
Yes.
And we find out later in the episode that all of the people, except, what about the brother? How old's the brother?
Tom.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, because, my question is, when did each of the characters die? Like, obviously, what's her name? Nell's sister never...
Sarah.
Sarah died young. Okay, that's just flat out. Well, we don't know Nell's relation in age, but we could assume that she's she's probably like 10 to anywhere like 24 even, because you can have a child later in life.
We get a little bit from Nell later on, which we'll get to, but she kind of suggests that Nell and Tom were somewhere away, and all her family died, and then her and Tom returned, and then Tom died at a later point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very traumatic childhood that Nell went through.
She says that,
Yes.
She says that, I never really got to say goodbye.
Yes.
The weird thing is that, like, let's assume that Sarah is the first one to go. Maybe she isn't.
Well, I think that something happened that Sarah, her mum and dad died at, like, the exact same time. So I think it was, like, some sort of car crash, shipwreck...
Something must have happened.
Cloning machine explosion.
It's weird, because it's like, they must have happened at the same time, or either, because like, if one person dies, you would probably then have some desire to say goodbye, or be a little bit closer with your other Ellies. Like, to have them all die at the same time and say, oh, I've never
I think she was mainly just concerned about not being able to say goodbye to her little sister and her mum and her dad.
Yeah.
Like, she seems to have an okay relationship with Tom, and all of her other brothers that died. Okay, so... The next thing that we need to be talking about is that Bronson is very interested in the fact that his muesli bar has been gone missing.
Well, yeah,
and he questions Sarah, and Sarah says, "No, I only like watching you. I didn't eat your food. I have spiritual food." Okay?
The bread of life, if you will.
Bronson wants in on this spiritual food.
Well, yeah.
Which is apparently like...
Sun rays.
Sunrises, the smell of daffodils in the morning.
Mountain Dew, yes.
Yeah, Mountain Dew available at all your favourite local
Mountain Dew
Surge
stores. Too for
Surge.
Yeah, and Doritos.
Well, I thought it was Mountain Dew Red Alert.
Whatever, I don't know.
Are there multiple different types of Mountain Dew?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I only drink like one if I ever drink Mountain Dew, and I don't really drink it.
As a side note, something very interesting about Mountain Dew. It's always been caffeinated in the States, right?
Yeah.
It's been a kind of like, yeah, energy drink type thing. But in Australia, at least up until recently, it was kind of known more as like a family drink, right? Because it wasn't caffeinated. And even though it had the weird kind of skater vibe marketing approach in the States and other places overseas, here it was more, you know, like it was my mum's favourite soft drink.
That's the thing. I think it was like when it came in Australia that just the market wasn't developed enough, or it wasn't perceived to be developed enough that they could push the angle of skater culture. Like, remember, this is back in the 70s, back when skaters parks grew in LA.
Yeah.
So, but they may not have been.
I
in
actually
Australia.
think, but even still, it still could have been caffeinated. I think that the caffeinated thing has to do more with caffeine culture in Australia rather than skater culture.
Yeah, it might have something to do with that.
But the weird thing is, right?
Yeah.
That a couple of years ago now, they decided that Australian Mountain Dew needed to be caffeinated as well. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it became Mountain Dew and there's like an energized thing underneath the label.
Yeah.
Now you're a marketing guy.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I know that like the main consumers of Mountain Dew that I was aware of no longer drink Mountain Dew because of the caffeine.
There should still be Mountain Dew that is
uncaffeinated,
right?
No.
No, this isn't?
I don't think so.
Okay, well...
And there wasn't really, at least as far as I'm aware of, a big marketing push to promote the new branding that would be associated with a caffeinated Mountain Dew.
Yes. So you want to know, like, why the heck they did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
It seems really dumb decision.
This is a really awesome conversation. Well, it could have to do with many things, considering as well, like, the global consumer culture we live in, where there's a rise of, like... I guess coherent messages. So like when you have like an ad for Mountain Dew for the States, for like, they endorse Call of Duty.
Yes.
You no longer have to localize said ads
for
the market. So they might have made a voluntary decision to say, look, we're going to steer away from family-friendly drinks and we're going to try to push our drinks towards still the teens. Because remember as well, we become a more health-conscious society. Maybe parents don't want to give their drink these things as much anymore. Maybe they want to go soda streams. But the kids still want it. So we need to push that angle of surge. Because the energy drink market. I think it was a bad mistake that they replaced Mountain Dew entirely because they still had a captive market. What they should have done is tried to phase it out naturally or just shifted the brand slightly and made, instead of Mountain Dew, make it something like Morning Grass or some bullshit like that.
I understand the rationale for changing, right?
Yeah.
But in the way that I understand it, the only thing that would need to change would be the branding. Of Mountain Dew. That's what they would be changing to make it be more aligned with the United States Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Whereas all they did was change the caffeination.
Yeah.
Which is that enough to change branding on its own? Surely not.
Yeah, sort of. It is. Like, even minor changes to a brand will be perceived by the users of the brand.
Yes.
In vast ways, because it's not just changing the consumption of the product, it's also changing the identity of the brand and how you perceive the product. And when you make changes to something that you like, right, those changes usually, unless they're amazing changes, will be received negatively because, like, it's not as good as it used to be, and you stop buying it. This
is interesting because the only people that were drinking Mountain Dew are people that are not likely to be drinking Mountain Dew now, and the people that like 14-year-olds drinking Mountain Dew in the States were probably not likely to be drinking Mountain Dew in Australia because they were probably drinking Coke.
Yeah.
So how would they become aware of the change?
What do you mean?
Like, they're not drinking it to realise the change. So unless they're in contact with somebody who did realise the change and didn't like it...
You'd have to do marketing. Like, just straight up. Or some sort of sponsorship. And that's like Call of Duty.
They didn't really do.
They did do that. They did the association with Call of Duty.
Yeah, I guess. But
V did that as well.
Yeah, but V is more heavily associated with Call of Duty in Australia than I would say Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why they made those changes. Like, who owns it? Pepsi?
No, Mountain Dew's a Pepsi product, right?
Yeah, well, and that's the problem as well, because Pepsi already has a market for, sports young teens, and that is Pepsi Max. They have a very strong brand there.
Yeah.
So in order to promote Mountain Dew, what you could end up doing is taking away customers from your Pepsi Max, cannibalizing that demand.
Yeah.
And putting them over to Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Which may not be a good thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I don't want to dwell too much on this tangent, but I also want to touch on one of my favorite branding changes. And I'm sure, I'm 90% sure it was all architectured, which would be amazing. Mother, right? If you're an international audience, you may not know what that is, but in Australia we have an energy drink called Mother, which I believe belongs to Coca-Cola.
Yep, Coca-Cola.
Originally it was called Mother because it was like Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And it was kind of marketed as like this organic type crazy energy drink that would give you heaps of energy, but also it's kind of good for you and the environment. And it tasted like medicine.
Yeah, it tasted like cinnamon or something along those lines.
It had really small, I think they were glass
They were small silver bottles.
Yes.
They had, they look kind of like, I'd have to say they kind of look like a tribal tattoo, their logo.
Yes. Yeah.
I'd have to say, I know some people might disagree with me, but it was a fairly strong push towards, feminine sports drinks.
All the ads were... Yeah. All the ads were let's party like it's 1999, like animals and stuff.
Or it was also like, it was just a monkey or something.
Yes.
Saying, oh, the goodness of Mother Nature.
Yeah.
But also the way that was branded was, it had a lot of soft sort of feminine features.
I
I think personally when I saw it come out, it was targeting against health-conscious women who were still interested in energy drinks but not wanting coffee because there was nothing currently in the market for that.
That would make sense, except nobody actually drank it.
They saw the hole in the market, but there was no market in the hole.
Because women are not going to, a lot of women drink energy drinks, but...
Yeah. And I say, again, we say women, it can just be the feminine gender thing. So men can still, who are a little bit softer, more in touch with feminists, could still drink it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Mother made the best change. I love it.
So what happened was... all of a sudden, the old one disappeared.
Yeah.
And everyone thought it had died.
Yeah.
And then it came back with 500ml cans, which were at that time unheard of.
Hugest cans, biggest cans.
It was, people were like, can they do that? Is that legal? There was stuff on Current Affair, every night, because up until then, the only cans that you could get were, the really small, V or Red Bull ones.
That was good. I loved it.
And the cans were different, and they came out with this ad campaign where it was a guy and a group of soldiers propelling down the side of a building, breaking into an office and killing the scientist responsible for making the original Mother.
Yeah.
Now, I am 80% sure that all of this was architectured from the very beginning.
I don't think so.
I think that maybe they did that original thing. Either that, or was it a miraculous comeback? Either way,
the way I see it is they saw potential in the product, they launched it, they realized the sales weren't there, they did some extra market research and felt, look, there may be a market here, but the market just isn't as strong as they originally predicted. Let's turn tack and let's push it as being a really strong, super powerful thing.
But the thing was...
And then they came out and they wanted to wipe away all the brand equity of their old brand. And the easiest way to do that is just to make it in a way that would engage their new target audience, which would be through some sort of awesome action FPS, let's shoot the old scientist thing.
The thing was, though, it tasted completely different. I'm fairly sure it had different ingredients, completely different branding, everything about it was different.
It had to be different.
So they could have just called it a different name.
Yeah.
But piggybacking off the old one just worked out so well.
I suppose so.
I picked it up and I really liked it. At the time I was younger and I drank a lot of Mother.
Well, the thing is, you already are aware of the name Mother.
Yes.
So you've already got the brand awareness there.
Yeah.
So if you could shed away the associated images and values you have towards that brand and ascribe it new values and a new image, that is a lot cheaper than having to just build up brand awareness to start off with again.
Makes sense. But I like to think that it was architectured from the start. There's some mad genius out there.
What was architected from the start was New Coke being a failure. Okay.
You reckon?
Yeah, I totally believe it.
Okay. Well, if you want to learn about New Coke, you can research that on the internet because we're getting quite long here and we've barely talked about the episode.
Yes,
Mr. Gribble runs downstairs and tells everyone that there is a ghost. The Gribble kids run upstairs, but they can't see anything. Bronson promises not to tell tell people about the ghost. Her name is Sarah, as long as she stops spying on him, which I think is a fairly fair agreement.
Yeah, I agree. Just stop spying on me. Yeah.
Yeah. Stop spying on me. I won't tell anyone about you. Pretty fair.
Yeah. I guess
Standard stalker-stalky relationship.
Yeah. How would you know though? I would just agree to it and just do it anyway.
Yeah.
You're a ghost. You can't tell. It's like this Bronson won't know.
She might come and throw things around in your room.
Well, you just don't touch anything. You just don't touch anything.
Oh, you're saying from the ghost perspective.
Yeah,
just
from the ghost perspective, you just stalk him anyway. And if you accidentally knock something over on the way out, who cares? Things fall over sometimes.
If you are an actual stalker, please stop. Or please do not take Anthony's advice.
If you are an actual ghost, please.
Yes. If we have any ghost listeners, feel free to write in and tell us how accurate
our portrayal of ghosts are.
Our portrayal of ghosts, or Rail and Twist's portrayal of ghosts.
Are they racist caricatures of your kind? I don't know.
We cut to a bit later, And the twists are really depressed, and they've got no hope. There's nothing that they can do about it. They've spoken to the lawyer. They can't get the lighthouse back.
Yeah.
It's bulletproof. Tony goes to see Mr. Gribble. He's not being helpful. And the twists have no choice but to go and confront Nell about the ghosts. So they go and speak to Nell, and they say, we know that you've been pretending to not hear the ghost music. You know something's going on. And she says, okay, it's my mother, father, brother Tom, and little sister Sarah.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, can you get them to help us?
Yeah.
And she says, no, the living and the dead don't mix. And I never got a chance to say goodbye. Fairly prolific here.
Yeah, it's like the truth is the living and the dead do mix, and she might actually be aware of that, because like she knows a lot.
Yes.
Again, I don't know why.
But she has, out of everyone, she has the least amount of contact. She knows about all this spooky stuff, but she can never interact with them properly.
It's like she knows that it's like a priori knowledge. Like she doesn't have any interaction with it, but she seems to know the information about it.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like that's her irrational fear telling itself that, the dead and the living shouldn't interact, when in reality it's more, I don't want to deal with the big emotional problems of having to deal with my family's perceived loss. Because remember, she's in a coma.
Well, yes. Okay, so let's look at it both ways. If it's in real life, she's lost a lot of people still.
Yeah.
That she's had fairly traumatic, and it's difficult. It would be difficult for her to interact with the ghosts of people that were very dear to her when they're kind of dim reflections of the people she knew, right?
Yeah.
In the coma theory, which if you want to hear more about, I believe is in the Nellception episode, which you can go back, which we talk about the Gumleaf War episode of Around the Twist.
Yeah.
That's one of our best, I think, that
so.
episode. Go back and hear all about our coma theory in that episode. But if we're using that theory, Nell, it's weird for her to be confronting images of her family, because in that theory, these people are they still alive or are they dead?
I think in that theory, they're still alive.
Okay.
Or alternatively, it's either they're still alive or, again, there could be anything. Like it could be as I said, it could be a radio station. But I'm going under the assumption that they're still alive. They play music for her. And maybe the first episode, her brother. Remember how she has another brother?
She's got a lot of brothers.
She doesn't bring up
Dead Ned.
Dead Ned. She doesn't say, oh, it's my brother. And no one says, what about...
Dead Ned's already ascended.
Ned, Yeah, but I know Dead Ned's already ascended, but it's like that's not brought up or discussed or anything along those lines. And the dead should never mix with the living, because the thing is, they've clearly set free her brother first.
Yes.
She's come to terms with that loss. Maybe that was her brother actually leaving, like no longer being a part of this crazy coma thing.
I think
they wanted her to come out of the coma, and he was kind of helpful, but he had other things to do.
I think
he's dead.
He's the reason or one of the reasons why she's in the coma.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's somehow related, and he's actually dead.
Yeah.
But her family might not be dead.
Yeah. It comes up later, actually. Probably want to talk a lot more about this later, because we got the people chucking him out of the house.
Yeah.
Lighthouse. Yeah, and I read into something else.
Okay. So Mr. Henderson enters the house, and I wrote down here, Mr. Henderson is scary mofo.
He is one scary mofo.
He rocks in, his duster flies up a little bit. He just strolls in like he's a character in the Matrix, and is just yeah, this lighthouse is mine. This is all mine. The twists are very sad. Mm-hmm. Pete is suddenly good at guitar. This is later. They're grieving the loss of their lighthouse. Pete's in his room. He's playing guitar. He's really good. He's playing some Spanish thing. Linda's doing her judos. She reminisces and meditates about...
Now, this is a callback to episode 1.
Yes.
Yeah,
everyone doing their thing.
Instead, I don't actually know if Linda was good at judo, but it looked like it was the exact same, so... But Pete actually went from bad on guitar to good on guitar.
Yes.
So... I guess maybe it's practice makes perfect.
Yeah, he was terrible at guitar in most episodes, but in this one, in some songs that he plays, it's kind of good.
And again, she's black belt. You can't be a black belt in Australian Judo Federation. That's bullshit. She's 14. I know that. You can't be. It's crap.
Tony is feeding his fish. He's saying, this is your last supper, guys. You better enjoy it. I think they're planning on leaving the fish here in the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Bronson...
Did they say last supper? Or last dinner?
Last supper.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, a biblical reference for all of you that missed it. Bronson is with his rabbit, one of his rabbits.
Yeah.
I don't know the rabbit situation.
Because he had tons that were reproduced last week's episode.
Yes.
So I don't know where they went.
Sarah comes into Bronson, and Bronson says, "Oh, did you bring me some ghost food?" And she says, "No." but you have to help us save the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be destroyed.
Yes.
And you can't tell anyone. And then the music starts playing, and then she leaves.
Yeah.
The Gribbles show up, and the Twists are eating breakfast. It's the last breakfast of the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And Tony said, look, the locals are going to come to our aid. They're not going to let us be thrown out. And this is kind of a key point here.
Yeah.
Mr. Gribble says, the locals don't care about this lighthouse. They don't care about you. Yeah, they don't care about you, especially you in particular, the Twists. Nobody likes you, but they only care about the lighthouse. So we're going to get you. The lighthouse will be unharmed, and the won't care. Which is weird, because as far as I knew, every plan up to this point involved the lighthouse being knocked down. But all of a sudden in this episode, Mr. Gribble thinks that the lighthouse needs to stay up.
Yeah.
I think because the general population of the town seems to like the lighthouse and they want it to stay up. They just don't care who's actually owns it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was like a public backlash on Mr. Gribble when people found out that he was actually wanting to knock down the lighthouse. And he was like, that's where he literally heard from people, we don't give a shit about the Twists, alright? But you're not knocking down a 100-year landmark.
Yes.
You know, and then you think, well, that's bad for my brand. Yeah. I don't want that name in the mud. So that's why he's got an invested interest now in protecting the lighthouse.
Bronson says that they're going to knock it down. And Gribble says, oh, that's nonsense. We're not going to do that. Like, that's silly. I would get in so much trouble. And Nell asks him, oh, was it my father? Oh, was it my mother that told you? Who told you? And it kind of works out that it was her little sister Sarah. And there's like a little tear in Nell's eyes.
Yeah.
And the Twist is saying, look, is there any way that your family can help us, Nell? And Nell says, the only thing that ghosts like is music.
Yep.
Well, I don't know where she gets this logic from, because the other ghosts have been able to communicate without music or different ways. Dead Ned communicated through looking at people while they're on the toilet.
And pictures.
Yeah. Pictures.
Maybe it was like
the ghost dog could interact with the actual land.
Seagulls
could poo on people.
Old Man Chompers
was a terrorist.
Yeah, he was a terrorist.
Lots of different ways. So Nell has suggested that they could communicate with them through music.
Well, we know that for a fact, though. At least Sarah says they don't really launch the Twist talking to the ghosts.
Yeah, they're not supposed to interact.
And when she hears the music, she's like, oh, I've got to go.
Yes.
So it's like, I guess maybe she is onto something. Maybe that is the only way to summon them, is through music.
Maybe. So the Twist's general plan here is to summon the ghost through music.
Yep.
Tony goes and gets bagpipes, and he tries to play them poorly. And well, I think these are the dump bagpipes.
These are There's a lot of references to older episodes.
And he says, I thought they were Scots. And Nell says, yeah, they are Scots, and that's why they hate your bagpipe playing music.
Yeah.
Because it's terrible. Pete, Linda, and Bronson have written an original song, which I assume is called Going Around the Twist.
Yeah, and it was kind of
which they sang.
Sappy, yeah.
Going around, it's different to the theme song.
Yeah.
It's a kind of okay.
It's okay.
I guess.
It's like, it's very, soft, but soft rock, soft
kind of-ish.
Yeah,
very 80s era.
Yeah.
Mrs. Gribble is spying on the family.
Yeah.
And Nell suggests that the music is too new to be able to summon the ghost because they are not familiar with it. They need something that's familiar with it.
They would also probably be like, I'm not interested in that.
Yes,
doesn't resonate
that sounds
with me.
awful. Pete and Linda then start playing, what do they play?
Oh, Danny Boy.
Danny Boy.
Which, Tasman West busts out her pipes.
Who plays Linda.
And also sings the theme song.
Yes.
Shows her how good she is as a singer, yeah. So she starts singing Danny Boy. And, what happens? It's sort of, the ghosts sort of do, like some scary stuff happens. You can tell that it's sort of working, but...
Yeah, they're playing their music over the top, and then it kind of gels in with Oh Danny Boy.
Yeah.
And then Nell starts, like, crying, because she can, like, see her family.
Yeah.
And the ghosts are kind of playing what sounds like Danny Boy. And then Bronson asks for Sarah's help. Yeah. And just as the ghosts are about to say, like, oh, we can't help you, whatever, Mrs. Gribble enters, because she can hear the ghosts, and she's keen on seeing them again, and the ghosts disappear.
Yeah.
Mr. Henderson is like, let's knock it down. He's getting ready. He's got the dynamite ready. They're about to knock it down. The Twists are in despair. They're right at the top of the lighthouse. They don't know what to do. A bunch of people just show up, and they're like, "We'll help you." And so they start like barricading themselves into the lighthouse. Tony is welding something. I believed he was welding the door shut, but then basically in the next scene, you can open the door.
I don't really know what it was. Like, it might have been like a deadlock or something. He was welding, but I don't know why you'd be welding a deadlock.
Ineffective.
Like, I don't get it. Why is he welding? Like, it's a wooden door too, right?
Yes.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. You can weld wood, I've heard.
Bronson is prepared for a siege. He has a lot of food.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's gonna be a long siege. You know, we're gonna need, yeah, that's it. The theme song. Not the theme song,
It's kind of like Bronson's theme.
Yeah.
The goofy thing.
The fat guy walk. Yeah.
Mr. Gribble is holding a press conference outside, and he says, "Listen, these wacko pinko greenies, they're stopping the way for our new amusement park.
Yeah.
But we will get through it, and the lighthouse will be unharmed." Mr. Henderson is preparing the dynamite. Then Mr. Gribble realizes that he's preparing the dynamite, doesn't like it, and tries to get him to shut it down.
Yeah.
And then Mrs. Gribble is in hysterics because they're going to knock down the lighthouse.
It's got ghosts in
And
it.
Mr. Henderson has the greatest line of all of Around the Twist.
Yeah.
And he says, "You should have that woman put down." What the heck?
Wow. It's like, hey, can you make him an asshole? Yeah, no worries. I'll do it right now. It's fine.
We'll just tell him to put somebody down.
Yeah, and then he goes, "Oh, you can't talk to my wife that way." It's like, well,
Yeah.
pretty fair. He probably shouldn't be talking to his wife that
Yeah,
way.
Mr. Gribble says, "Don't talk to my wife like that. She has 5 diplomas." Another classic Twist reference.
Oh, those diplomas.
Gribble rushes inside and his whole family join the Twists. They're like, "Oh, we can't knock it down. It's going to be really bad for the Gribble reputation."
Yeah.
Security approach, and they smash a hole in the porthole of the lighthouse door.
Yeah.
Something that has only, I guess, been replaced about a couple of weeks ago because
it
the
was.
scarecrow jumped
It was
through
weird
and
if it
smashed
still had the, it still had a, I don't know, it's not really a logo, it's
Yeah, it's like the Around the Twist logo.
yeah, Around the Twist logo, sort of like,
on the
decal.
picture of
I'm
the
gonna call it a
lighthouse.
decal, yeah, in the glass. So, not only was the glass replaced, usually when you
Yes.
replace glass, you also need to get the decal put on.
Yes.
So, somebody's wasting a lot of money on this lighthouse.
Yes. I'm
Why
assuming they're
why
gonna
would he
get
do
that.
that? I don't know.
know.
Why he'd do that.
He's an artist.
He needs for inspiration or something, I guess.
Security, they just smash the window, open the door, and they just start, like, abducting people.
Yeah.
And Tiger's commentating
Yeah, yeah.
as all of this craziness is going on. We get some crazy Round the Twist music. Bronson is defending himself with a cornetto.
Of course he is.
Nobody wants to touch Nell.
Nobody
She
does.
just kind of just picks up her jacket and walks out. But in the credits, where we get
see
deleted
her fighting.
scenes, she has, like, a packet of cereal, and she's, like, beating this guy
There's
over
a
the head with
packet
it.
of Kellogg's cornflakes, I
Yes.
believe. Great way to start your day.
Rabbit is trying to fight one of the security guards.
Yeah.
And he gives up and runs away.
Now, I saw these security guards when they come in, they were all dressed in yellow, and I sort of thought them actually was like, let's go with the coma thing again.
Yes.
Yeah, what if what if the bad guy, the scary mofo man,
Yes.
Mr. Henderson, what if he's actually Dr. Henderson?
Oh.
Right? What if he's like, you should put that woman down? Okay, there's that.
What a
But also,
twist.
here's another one. He says, make your final checks, right? Maybe either A, the
They're
doctor
turning
is
off the
giving
life
her,
support.
turning off a life support. There's two ways you can read into it. It's either A, she's turning off the life support.
Yes.
And, alright, those yellow things, alright, are whatever disease she has, or whatever's in there that's keeping her in the coma, and that's slowly overcoming her body, because now the life support's being turned off. She's not showing any signs of recovery. The lighthouse is in jeopardy.
Yep.
Alternatively, if you view the lighthouse as a negative thing that's keeping her in this body, what if the yellow thing is actually medication? What if it is a drug that is helping to make her better?
Maybe.
But she's, of course, perceiving it as a threat.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. At the end of it, though, the ghosts still leave, so maybe there's a certain element of her coma problem or
Yes.
psychology that's being resolved. But that's how I read into it.
Yeah, that's pretty good reading.
Yeah.
Everyone gets taken out. Tiger is the last to go and he commentates his own demise. Everyone's outside. They're kind of behind a barrier.
Yeah.
And it's like desperation. Everyone is really sad. The lighthouse is about to be destroyed. They're setting up the detonator. Then Pete and Linda are like, this is our last chance. And they start singing Danny Boy.
Yeah.
And everyone starts singing, everyone that's there. Snapper is there for some reason, one of the teachers at the school.
Yeah.
And he goes, raise your voices for freedom and democracy.
We love Snapper. He's so great.
He's great. I hope he's still alive because I would really like to have an interview with him.
Yeah, let freedom reign is what he was thinking. Are you really a libertarian? You'll say, well, actually, I'm actually a social conservative. Oh my goodness, I don't know that.
I love the works of Shakespeare.
Yes, quite. Yes.
They keep singing. Then the security guards are kind of like, oh, they're singing, sir. What do we do? Mr. Henderson goes, wait till they hear my music. And then they start the countdown for explosion. Then they're about to blow it up, and Nell has the saddest line of any children's television show ever. And she cries out with tears rolling down her cheeks. She cries out, don't. My family is in there. Just like this.
That's really
like
sad.
One line is so loaded.
Yeah. Just remember, like, that totally shows how much she clings to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All makes sense.
She clings to it so much that she can't leave. You know, her family's still there.
Even when she does kind of leave and move into a house next to the lighthouse, she leaves all her stuff there.
Yeah.
Because she's like so emotionally attached to the people that she's lost, and she can't move on. And like, she's just like this broken person living her life that's embedded with these bizarre myths and legends, like, in whatever form. Like, it makes sense if it's actually real. To a degree. And it's kind of like her way of dealing with things, coming up with these crazy stories.
It's kind of like watching your family home be destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in the coma one, where she can't deal with losses of the past and she's stuck in this dream world because of her inability to move on. We've discussed this before, but Round the Twist is about Nell.
Yeah, it's totally about her. This first season is totally about Nell.
It's totally about her.
It's even confirmed because the season's called something like...
Nell's Ancestors.
Nell's Ancestors. So this first season is Nell-centric to the max.
Yeah.
So it's all about her, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's all about her coming to terms with loss and grief.
It's actually really good writing because she's not even a main character.
Yeah.
She's a secondary character, and you learn so much about her, even though most of her appearances in the episode amount to about 5 minutes.
Yeah, like, literally, you could cut her out of the show entirely, and the show would have been basically the same.
Well, she has important exposition.
Yeah, she has the role of basically...
She usually tells you what's
happening.
happening.
Is, you could have easily replaced her, and I don't think they should have, but you could have replaced her with a big scary book they found in the attic. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this book says, blah, blah, blah.
No, but I don't think so, because, like, this season is Nell. Like, taking her out, like, takes out, like, the soul of the... Even though she is the generic
I couldn't agree
character.
with you more. I couldn't agree with you more, but I'm just saying that, like they could have done that, but they're like, no, she's so important to the story.
Yeah.
She makes it for me.
This is the last episode of Season 1. We'll get on to Season 2 probably in a couple of weeks. What I want to do is come back to kind of this stuff we're talking about now and do 1 or 2 weeks on kind of the big theories of Season 1.
Yeah.
So we'll probably talk about this in more detail next week.
Yeah.
The ghosts come and they grab dynamite and they're throwing it around. They're throwing it to the construction workers. They throw it to the security guards. They throw it to Mr. Henderson.
Yeah.
And everything's in craziness. The chaos breaks out. Nobody knows what to do. Mr. Henderson's holding the dynamite. Then the ghosts menacingly appear up from the lighthouse and like float down playing Danny Boy like on their violins and stuff as they approach Mr. Henderson. He freaks out and runs away. The ghosts continue to play. Nell whispers goodbye as more tears roll down her cheeks, and she finally
she doesn't even say goodbye.
Closure.
Like she says, she mouths goodbye, which is even more emotional. You know, it's like she doesn't have she's overcome and she's so sad that she can't even.
Yeah, but she in that moment she finally achieves closure that she has spent her entire life trying to achieve.
Yeah, without a doubt. Couldn't agree more with you. She's finally got that.
Everyone's happy and they continue singing Danny Boy and everyone's ecstatic that the lighthouse has been saved. Bronson meets up with Sarah at some point in the night.
So I was just looking something up on Wikipedia.
Yes.
Danny Boy is most common, closely associated with Irish communities.
Yes. Oh, I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
They're Scots, right?
Yeah.
But they sing Danny Boy.
I don't know what's the relation between Scots and Irish? I know that they're similar.
I don't know.
And my favourite thing is like remember in Braveheart?
Yes.
Yeah. How it's just like how the Irish, they go to fight the Scots and then they're just like, oh, hey, and they're going to hug each other. That's my favourite thing. It's like, oh, it's my cousin.
Because the Irish fight the Irish.
Yeah.
And the Scottish fight the English. So I don't really think that they have that much antagonism against each other. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Well, they both probably hate the British.
Yeah.
So, or at least a lot of them would be.
The Irish, I think their main antagonist is themselves. Like, they're too concerned with fighting the divisions within their own country to be worried about fighting the Scots.
Apparently, it's supposed to also be popular for funerals, according to
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
because it's the saddest song around.
Yeah, but why is it sad? Like,
You've heard this song?
yeah,
It is the saddest song that
like-
you will ever hear.
Yeah,
in your
well, I'm
life.
reading it now. It says, "Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen, mountainside, blah blah blah, blah blah blah." I'm not reading all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
making me sad.
It's
Just
a sad song, you know. It's about a
thinking
boy
about the
who's
lyrics.
going to war or something.
Yeah. It's got a lot to do with like it's something to do with Ireland, and it's a thing.
Get your Irish veins, you know, pumping.
One of my lecturers from uni apparently sings Danny Boy every St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
and like all her relatives like cry, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
like a big thing.
That's weird. But whatever, hey, whatever.
They get really emotionally involved. They get really drunk, then it gets really late. Somebody starts singing Danny Boy, they all join in and they cry.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Bronson is meeting with Sarah sometime in the night, and he says to her, "I'm a boy,
Yeah.
you're a girl. You like this lighthouse, I like this lighthouse."
Who? You just say Bronson and
Yeah,
Sarah?
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah. You weren't paying attention.
I wasn't,
And
I
then
didn't
he
see
says,
that.
and then he says, "We've been through a lot together." And she goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we have." And he says, "Listen, can I have some ghost food?" And she says, "Okay, sure, let's do it." And Bronson is stoked.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I want, that's what I want.
What does Bronson imagine? Well, we can kind of imagine what Bronson thinks it is.
I mean, Bronson is such a glutton. So, which brings me to my point: is like, is she a representation of Nell's innocence?
Maybe.
He's such a glutton. I mean, gluttony is a sin, but he's not ashamed of his sin, which is something in its own way. Like,
yes.
Which, as a child, you generally aren't. You're not ashamed of what you do or what might be wrong or restraints, social constructs.
I don't know.
Can we just conclude that, for the safety, that he's a giant fatty or will be one day? Maybe?
No.
No?
No.
Alright, well, he's
magic.
Alright,
He
well,
never
maybe
gets fat.
Okay, well, he's gonna have a massive heart attack or something if he doesn't stop eating.
Maybe.
Probably.
Everyone has arranged to meet at the cliff in the morning.
Yep.
And Faye is talking to Tony. They're ready for the sunrise. And Faye says, "Listen, Tony, you're a man, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
You know, you like the lighthouse. I like the lighthouse. We've been through a lot together." And then she says, "Will you?" And then Sarah pops out of nowhere. And she says, "Oh, hey everybody. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I've brought you some ghost food." And Rabbit makes a comment about having a big ghost barbecue.
Yeah.
Classic Rabbit.
And then everyone was like, shut up.
Yeah.
Rabbit.
The sunrise is starting, and they're all looking at it. It's like, oh, it's a sunrise.
Yeah.
And Tony then goes, he does the routine. I'm not going to do it again. I've done it like 5 times. And then he says, "Will you marry me?"
Yeah.
And she says, "Is the sunrise beautiful?" And he says, "Yes."
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they're getting married.
I guess so.
And I wrote down Faye says yes, even though she didn't explicitly. She kind of does.
She does. It's like saying, is the Pope Catholic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or is the Pope Italian?
Yeah.
He's not.
What was the in A Knight's Tale? They say, "Oh, is the Pope Catholic?" And then the English characters say,
it's like,
"The Pope may be Catholic, but Jesus was English." You're wrong.
Yeah, the Pope might be French, but Jesus was English. You're wrong. That was like one of my favorite lines.
Classic. Sarah kisses Bronson.
Yep.
After he asks her, "Is this
that
all the
it?
ghost food?"
Yeah, is that all the ghost food?
And yeah, this is the part where Rabbit is like, "Oh, good on you, mate." Or,
He's like, "Oh, ma, he's gonna go in for a kiss."
no, Tiger. Yeah, Tiger
Tiger's
starts
like,
to
"I'm gonna go
commentate.
for a kiss," and then everyone's like, "Shut up,
Yeah,
Tiger."
but this is kind of weird. This kiss, like, what kind of long-term effects is this going to have on Bronson?
Fucking hell, it's ridiculous. I don't understand, like, what kind of energy is it? I don't know. I don't get it.
Then Pete turns to Bronson and he says, "So what does ghost food taste like, mate?" And Bronson replies with vanilla ice cream, but better.
So it's like chocolate ice cream, basically.
Well, if you like chocolate.
It's like, it's not a question.
It's
not a question of like. It's chocolate is the best flavor.
Yes.
Just the fact. I mean, unless you want fruit in your ice cream, in which case, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm not a massive chocolate person.
What do you like?
Well, I'm not a massive sugar person at the moment, so I probably have a glass of water.
You're fun at parties, eh? What ice cream do you like?
Me?
People usually...
Water. I have a glass of water, that's what I'm saying. I don't want ice cream. It's gross.
That's a puffy thing to say.
No way.
It is. It's like...
What is more attributed to feminine characteristics? Ice cream or water?
Water. Because you're watching your weight. Like, right?
Not that it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I'm just
Not
saying
that
that,
it's a
like,
bad
if it's like, hey, if someone's like, hey man, if some guy pointed a gun at you, I was like, choose your favorite ice cream, eh?
Yeah.
And then you go water, he'll blow your head off, right? But what's your favorite ice cream?
Who's making the rules here?
I am.
You are making the rules.
So
it has to be a type of ice cream.
It has to be a type of ice cream.
And it can't be
any
water.
general flavor, as long as it's not like, well, actually any flavor actually, that must be your favorite. And it can't be water, but it can be water based if you want to have some sort of weird like lemonade ice cream or something.
I would probably say chocolate.
Yeah, damn right. That's right. that you saved your life that way.
Our friend, the silent third member of our podcast.
Yes.
Whenever we get ice cream, or whenever you guys get ice cream, and I stand quietly in the corner at the ice cream shop, he always gets like bubble gum and all
he got bubble gum the other day.
The flavors that you get when you're 11 years old.
Yeah, he did. He was like, "Oh, I got this nice bubble gum," but it's like, I don't get bubble gum. I don't understand.
Flavor, like what's he likes coconut flavor.
I like coconut, but I don't like coconut ice cream. Like coconut is something you add to something else, I reckon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the episode and the end of season 1.
Yeah.
We made it.
We did it.
Right after the credits, the Twist family appears. They're standing on the cliff and they wave at the camera and they say, "Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Waking up from the coma."
For most of the cast.
Yeah.
This is the last time that any of them will be on Around the Twist.
Really?
Yeah, 1989. The next time we get a season of Around the Twist was 90... I thought it was 2.
Oh, it was pretty... Yeah,
early 90s. So it's a couple of years apart. They recast all of the children. They recast a lot of the adults.
I think
Tony stays the same. Nell stays the same. Mr. Gribble, I think, stays the same.
Yeah.
A lot of them stay the same, but...
It makes sense to change the children.
The kids change,
that just makes sense.
Yeah, well, they would start to be looking pretty old, especially Bronson.
Yeah.
It would be weird if Bronson was in puberty.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Oh, I want some music."
Yeah. So, yeah, do you have anything else you want to say about the episode? If you have any general remarks about season 1, we could probably do that next week.
Yeah, so, any general remarks about season 1?
Any episode 12
And if you're listening and you like the show, just send us a message and tell us what you thought of this season and our interpretation and reading of the season.
Yes.
Like, it's been fun doing this for you guys. It's been pretty fun.
If you have any fan theories, if you have anything that you wanted us to talk about, you have any ideas, please write in and we will talk about it in the next couple episodes.
Yes, that's exactly right. So get your pen, get your pen out and you can write to us, but I won't give you our address.
No.
Alright, you can just send it to Ernie Dingo.
Yes.
Like I used to do when I was
younger. Have we talked about that on the podcast?
We have talked about me sending.
Do you want to tell your Ernie Dingo story?
If I have, yeah. It's like when I was a little boy, I used to paint toilet rolls as like didgeridoos, right? Yes. Because I used to think Ernie Dingo was amazing for some reason. Yeah. I don't know why.
As you should.
As I should. So I painted toilet rolls like with Aboriginal artwork.
Like a didgeridoo.
Yeah, like a didgeridoo. Because like I didn't know any better.
Yes.
Like I was like, that's kind of like a didgeridoo.
That's how you summon Ernie Dingo.
So and then I was like, I didn't know his address. So my dad would sometimes take me to the post office, to the letterbox, and I'd put in the thing into Ernie Dingo. And I'd hope one day he'd see it on like what's his name, Better Homes and Gardens. The Great Escape or Getaway or whatever. Yeah. And he'd be like, "Wow, what a wonderful thing." But I never got a message back from Ernie Dingo, which is really sad.
Because normally at that age, children write letters to Santa. You were writing letters to Ernie Dingo.
I did. I wrote letters to Santa too, but Ernie Dingo was like a full year thing. You could do it all year.
Were you writing anything on these toilet rolls? Just didgeridoo art?
No, because like they didn't have writing. Aboriginals really didn't have much writing. They had, they didn't they?
Cave paintings.
Mostly, they told through the storytelling and stuff. Yeah. So it's like, what would be the point in sending him a story? Like, wouldn't he appreciate art better?
Stick figures.
And I can't write for shit. So I mean, like, yeah. I mean, if I knew how to write, I would have written his address on it. Yeah, that's what I would have done, right?
They also drew stick figures with giant phalluses.
Did they really?
Yeah, that's like Have you ever seen any Aboriginal cave paintings? No. It's all guys with big dongs.
It's pretty cool.
No, it's weird. Cool.
That's awesome. It's like, yeah.
We went to, I've been to Carnarvon Gorge.
Yeah.
And, let's not get too graphic, but where you get to a part where there's Aboriginal, it was a teaching wall or something.
Yeah.
And it's this giant cliff face. and they've put there's like carvings of how do I say this politically correctly? The female anatomy.
Vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All over this wall, like a million of them, all
That's
different shapes and
weird.
sizes.
That is weird. Maybe it's like they were like that was the hunting party, and they were like, no, I don't even know. Okay, I'm not even going to try to interpret. I don't understand it. Don't understand why they did it. Maybe they wanted. Maybe it's part of their integral part of their culture, or maybe they were just like horny.
I have no
don't know.
idea. Who
Maybe
knows,
it started
man?
off as being someone horny, and then there was like involved in some sort of spiritual thing. I don't know.
And
Who knows, right?
yeah. What would you give this episode out of 10?
Out of 10, I'd give it
Bowls
like
of spaghetti.
I'd give it 9 bowls.
Yeah, I would give it 9 bowls too.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It was one fluid, concise episode. Everything sort of made sense. Like everything went to a point.
Yes.
There was no bullshit la-di-da stuff or side character crap or smushed together stories. It was all made sense. It all came together quite nicely in the end.
Primo bowls as well. Good quality
Yeah,
spaghetti.
high quality spaghetti. Like you get the stuff you get in the city,
handmade.
like really 5-star restaurant. That stuff you get in the sticks.
What did you have for lunch today?
I had half of a coconut thingy.
What?
Danish.
Half of a coconut.
Coconut Danish.
Oh,
thingy
coconut Danish.
From the local bakery, which we both went to, but at different times. I was literally in front of you.
Yes.
You didn't see me though.
I didn't see you.
No.
As you know, on this podcast we like to talk about lunch.
Yeah.
And we also like to talk about our local bakeries.
There's local bakeries, man. They're pretty
which
good.
are not sponsoring us, but if you're listening and you do have a local bakery, feel free to drop us a line.
Yeah, and we'll just be like, hey, go to George's Bakery. He's tops.
Side note,
Yeah.
last night I was watching the Oscars.
Yes, as you do.
And-
Being a film major.
I was watching the Oscars, and one of the guys, I can't remember who, he dropped a plug for his local bakery.
Really?
Yeah, what a boss. It was like a
That's
British
great.
bakery.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
I think he was one of the guys that won the short film category. He's like, my bakery, this street bakery is going to give me 50% off donuts or something. It's like,
That's
all right,
cool.
good job.
It's like that shawarma thing in the Avengers.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever had shawarma, and then like the place that sold it, like,
Yeah.
was just like busy for the next couple of weeks? Yeah. I think so, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. But you told me that story.
No.
Okay, well, I don't know who told me.
Social media. How can our viewers contact,
They can
find out
They
more?
can find us. Whoa, is that coffee in that mug? Thank God. No, there isn't. Sorry, I just spilled my coffee on the ground.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, you can find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook by going to Tales from the Twists.
Plural.
Yep. Just find us there, Tales from the Twists. And then you can find us on our website, which you go to the Facebook for. Subscribe to us on iTunes, of course, naturally, because
Yes.
then it will be automatically come to you in your feed. Like, you'll wake up one day and be like, wow, new episode. Oh my gosh, it's like Christmas, except it's not Christmas.
And our name on iTunes is Tales from the Twists.
I'm pretty sure it is.
You can also find us on Twitter at TFT Twists.
Yep.
And on YouTube as
Tales from the Twists.
From the Twists.
Yes.
Again, plural. Remember the S is important.
Yes is important. Otherwise you'll get something else. you
And
know?
just a reminder, if you want to give us your feedback about what you thought of the episode, what you want us to talk about in future episodes, any special things you want us to do that, because we will try and incorporate that into the episode.
Yes.
Anything you want to, because we're doing this primarily,
For your
you.
benefit, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, we're doing it because you want it.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if you
you-
don't want it, trust me, you want it.
We're going off the Fields of Dreams.
Yeah, if we build
if we
it-
build it, you will come.
You will come.
So help us build it.
Help
for
us
you,
help you.
to build
Yes.
it for you.
For you to us build.
Yes.
Yes.
With us
Correct.
for you.
Who's on first?
What?
Yeah. What? No, what's the name of the guy on second?
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
see, that's where I was going with that, but you were like, what?
This is derailing. Thank you very much for listening. That's been first season of Around the Twist. We'll do some roundup season 1 episodes in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll start on season 2.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for
excited.
listening.
Get excited.
My name is Joe Lewis.
And I'm Anthony Bull.
Thank you for listening, and stay twisty.
Stay twisty. Yo yo.